Hi, I'm Mike Sargent, and this is a special Oscar edition of Arise on Screen.
Master, come here! I brought her back just like you.
In Oscar nominations, 2013 was a banner year in films, with a record 19 black movies released. But the competition is stiff. Will 12 Years a Slave, up for Best Picture, win Oscar Gold? Oscar milestones. For the first time, a black British actor and a black African actress are up for an Oscar. Chiwetel Ejiofor and Lupita Nyong'o both for their roles in Best Picture nominee, 12 Years a Slave. Along with Steve McQueen, the first black British director ever nominated. Will 12 Years a Slave make Academy Award history?
That evening was more violent than usual.
In predictions, we sit down with the director and subject of the Oscar-nominated short, Facing Fear. Can this powerful film about forgiveness walk away with the coveted statue?
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say.
It's our look at the Oscars, with nominations in front of the camera and behind the scenes, including an Oscar nod for Pharrell's Happy. 2014 just might be the happiest Oscar show ever for blacks in film. All this and more in this Oscar edition of Arise on Screen.
Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is.
Hello, I'm Mike Sargent, and welcome to our special Oscar edition of Arise on Screen, your global home for films, both on screen and behind the scenes. Let's get to it first with this week's box office winners. Lego tops the box office this week, followed by 3 Days to Kill, The Monuments Men, Pompeii, and RoboCop, rounding out the number 5 spot. And in movie news,
we came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
Moviegoers are mourning the loss of 69-year-old actor, director, writer Harold Ramis, best known for his role as Dr. Egon Spengler in the 1980s Ghostbusters series. Considered a comedic genius by his Hollywood colleagues, his fans include U.S. President Barack Obama, who remembered the Chicago native saying, quote, "When we watched his movies, from Animal House and Caddyshack to Ghostbusters and Groundhog Day, we didn't just laugh until it hurt. We questioned authority. We identified with the outsider. We rooted for the underdog. And throughout it all, we never lost our faith in happy endings." With Ghostbusters 3 in the works, writers are now scrambling to rewrite Ramis's cameo appearance alongside original Ghostbusting co-stars Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd.
Dude, did you hear the one about the stray bullet that killed the redneck for telling the story about the 2 rabbis and the black dude?
While Tyler Perry's Medea Christmas isn't up for an Oscar, it is in the running for a Razzie Award, which honors the worst in film. In the remake, rip-off, or sequel category, the award could, and in my opinion should, go to The Hangover Part 3. The Golden Raspberries will be handed out for the 34th year this weekend. This week, the IMAX 3D World War II epic Stalingrad hits U.S. theaters. The Russian production's mind-blowing special effects made Stalingrad the highest-grossing box office Russian movie of all time when it opened in that country.
Your sins are forgiven, my son.
20th Century Fox's Son of God hits theaters this week. The film's producer, Mark Burnett, and star Diogo Morgado, the first Latino to portray Jesus in Hollywood, stopped by our sister show, Arise Entertainment 360.
I knew the responsibility. I knew how big this would be and what it is. The truth is, long after I'm gone, this is going to last.
And in festival news, it looks like President Obama has a new interest, filmmaking. The president hosted the first ever White House Student Film Festival for K through 12 students around the country. With nearly 3,000 entries, students were asked to create short films about the role of technology in their classrooms. The White House, in collaboration with the American Film Institute, invited a star-studded cast to help screen the finalists. Today, I'm joined by artist, filmmaker, international film critic from Italy, Chiara Spagnoli Gabardi, and entertainment journalist, former VJ, film critic, man about town, Bobby Rivers.
Nice to be here.
Bobby, welcome back.
Glad to be here. You
I'm
both
glad
look
you're here.
fabulous.
You look stunning too.
Well, I left my tuxedo in the Armani shop.
That's okay. We'll pick it up later. Okay, so before we get to the Oscar talk, we're gonna talk about Liam Neeson's new film, Nonstop.
I liked it.
I liked it a lot.
Action-packed, mature. I give it a B+. It had Hitchcock-like MacGuffins, things you thought were clues turned out not to be clues. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was going to be kind of ho-hum. It was not.
All right, we're going to take a look at a scene, and then I want to tell you what I thought of the film.
All right.
The guy who died had one of these embedded in his skin. Ever seen one before?
No.
The toilets were locked 10 minutes before the captain died. 5 minutes before that, I saw a woman enter. She's 70 years old. She said you went in after her, and she doesn't have Alzheimer's.
That was a scene from Nonstop, the new suspense thriller from Liam Neeson, with Julianne Moore, Nate Parker, and the first role for Oscar-nominated Lupita Nyong'o since the release of 12 Years a Slave.
Do you know if she made this before 12 years?
She made it after.
Oh.
She made it after. And I like this movie a lot. And like you, I expected it to be just another thriller. But I was really smart, really clever, very Hitchcockian.
The suspense was excellent.
The suspense was great.
Until the very end, you can't figure out who's the villain.
You don't know if it's him or not.
That's what I loved about it.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you, though, the only thing that disappointed me was the use of Lupita Nyong'o.
It's a very brief role.
It's more than a brief role.
Yeah,
It's almost like the kind of roles they used to give actresses in the 60s who were former Miss Americas, and they give them like a walk-on.
It's not even a cameo because she doesn't have any importance in it. So
unfortunately.
It's a very but looking at her in Nonstop, if she was to do a biopic, she should play Grace Jones. Think about that when you see Lupita in Nonstop.
Not that bad. All right, well, I really like this film, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys think about the Oscars and the nominations, the milestones, and all that. So, we're going to move on.
Okay.
And we'll be right back. Coming up, both Yale drama grad Lupita Nyong'o in 12 Years a Slave and Somalian-born actor Barkhad Abdi in Captain Phillips grabbed Oscar noms for their debut feature film performances. We'll tell you more about this talented duo when we come back.
Look at me, sure. Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.
One of the great things about Arise News, it is truly a multicultural global channel that is paying attention to communities of all different kinds, not just here in the United States, not just in Africa, but all around the world, as we're giving a voice to the people that don't traditionally have the kind of a voice that a mass media organization can have. You're getting here at Arise News that you're not going to find at the other networks is a unique perspective, and I think that's part of what Arise is here to do.
So what we do is we bring together experts and analysts and thought leaders and CEOs in companies across many industries to not only provide the macroeconomic view, but news everyday people can use.
There's certain news programs that have a Democrat and a Republican, and all they do is here's the Democrat saying his side and the Republican say, it's a little debate show, but not everybody is a sort of an extremist on one side or the other. People are in the middle a lot more.
Arise News, every culture, every angle.
You admit it?
Yes, really. And you know why? I got this from Mrs. Shaw. Mrs. Stubbs won't even grab me no soap to clean with. I stink so much I make myself gag.
Nominated for Best Supporting Actress, Lupita Nyong'o was born on March 1st in Mexico City, Mexico, then raised in Kenya. Bitten by the acting bug as a teen, Lupita went on to appear in several Kenyan theater television productions and an award-winning short film. Nyong'o cites the performances of Whoopi Goldberg and Oprah Winfrey in The Color Purple with inspiring her to pursue a professional acting career. Can she achieve what they have? Welcome back to Arise on Screen. With me in the studio are film critics Chiara, Spagnoli, Gabardi, and the man who needs no introduction, Bobby Rivers.
Hello.
Now, talking about this, Bobby, Lupita, I think, is luminous and amazing in the role.
Yes.
But looking at the history of the Oscars, do you think she has a chance?
I think she does have a chance because historically, I think most of the black actresses who have been nominated for Best Supporting Actress. Look at the first black nominee, Hattie McDaniel, and the first winner for Gone with the Wind. Look at the last black woman to win win Best Supporting Actress, Octavia Spencer, for The Help.
There was also Whoopi Goldberg.
Who was, right,
with Ghost.
50 years later, after Hattie,
yes.
was the second black woman to win Best Supporting Actress.
50 years later.
50 years later.
Now, do you think the fact that she's won 29 other awards will play a factor in this at all?
You know, no. I think this is one of the most unpredictable years for how the Academy is going to think. You know,
Chiara?
I liked her best in the category, so I'm pretty sure she's the one. Although June Squibb
for Nebraska, we think that is her surprise
chances.
Competition.
Well, I love June Squibb, and I wouldn't be upset if she won, but I have the sneaking suspicion that Jennifer Lawrence is going to win.
But she
so soon? She was just Best Actress last year.
Hollywood loves an ingenue.
Wow, but even Barbara Stanwyck never won a competitive Oscar in that long career. She'd have two. Oh, and her hair was
have
great.
to give a chance to everyone
To
to win an
grow.
Oscar.
You know, I'll tell you this. My take on it is the only way I think Lupita will win Best Supporting Actress is if they don't give Best Picture to 12 years. So it's got to win something.
Okay.
Okay.
We're going to move on. But that's my take. We're going to move on to Oscar's Best Supporting Actor nominee, Somalian-born Barkhad Abdi, who made his film debut as a terrorizing ship hijacker and pirate leader in Captain Phillips, with co-star Tom Hanks. Born in Mogadishu and raised in Yemen, Abdi came to the U.S. as a teen. Other nominations for his performance have included a BAFTA nod, which he went on to win. Do you think he has a chance, Chiara? I mean, he was great in the role. He looked like he was a pirate. I believed him.
Yes, no, he was very believable. He was pretty disquieting. I would
and
also...
powerful, and he had not acted before, had he?
No, he hadn't. So, you know, that's very much near-realistic, getting non-professional actors and getting these outstanding performances. But I am kind of cheering for Michael Fassbender, that I love in all the Stephen Queen.
He's a dark horse to win for this. Now, what's your take, Bobby?
Well, I thought he was very powerful, and just like Oprah, for somebody who had not acted before, to like command the screen like that, the way she did in The Color Purple, amazing. I think it's going to go to Jared Leto.
I'll have to tell you, I tend to agree with you, though I do think Barkhad did something that the Academy likes and actors admire, where he ad-libbed that great famous line, "I'm the captain now," which is kind of a matter of record now. So you really think that...
Well, Jared, I mean, look from Requiem for a Dream, Fight Club, movies like that, and to see him as Rayon.
And it's a pretty bold role for him to do.
Very bold. He's a very brave performance.
Well, I'll tell you, if he doesn't win, I think the good thing is that he did get a new role in a new movie, and it's actually a film that's based on it's based on the African Olympics.
Is he playing a black man?
He's playing a black man. Yes,
okay.
He's playing a black man.
Well, that's,
it's called the Place That the Sun Hits. That's the name of the film. Okay. And so, because my worry would be, like, if he won or didn't win, what else does Hollywood have for him? That would be my concern. Well, we're going to move on, and it's very interesting what you have to say. So we'll be right back. Still to come, Facing Fear, an Oscar-nominated short film about forgiveness, when a man reunites with the attacker who almost beat him to death as a teenager. Can he forgive him? We sit down with the Oscar-nominated short's director, Jason Cohen, and the film's main subject, Matt Boger, next on Arise on Screen.
Arise News is a different kind of network. We are able to tell our own stories, and we're able to cover stories in a way that other media outlets don't do. We've got world-class journalists, veteran journalists who have been in this industry for decades, not just in front of the camera, but behind the scenes as well. Arise News is a place where we can tell stories in an interesting, factual, inclusive way like no one else in the business can.
So what we do is we bring together experts and analysts and thought leaders and CEOs in companies across many industries to not only provide the macroeconomic view, but news everyday people can use.
I remember looking into that face. I remember looking at that mohawk and those eyes.
I kicked him in the forehead, and he was out.
At first glance, we saw the mohawk.
A chance meeting reunited Matt Boger, who is gay, with the former skinhead who brutally beat him and left him for dead 25 years earlier. It marked the beginning of an unlikely journey for both of them. Welcome back. I'm Mike Sargent, and this is Arise on Screen. Matt Boger and director Jason Cohen recently joined me in the studio to talk about their Oscar-nominated short, Facing Fear. Before we talked Oscars, I asked Matt what it felt like the moment he realized he was sitting across from the man who almost killed him.
You don't ever think that you'll be sitting in front of one day somebody who left you for dead and believed that they had killed you. So I was struggling with, like, this can't be, this is not possible. There was a lot of disbelief. It took a few days for it to actually sink in that this person was back in my life again.
Wow. Now, take me back to that time. How old were you? Walk me through exactly what happened.
I was 13 when my mom threw me out, and a few months later, I had turned 14. So I was 14 years old during the attack, and there were, 10 or 12 neo-Nazi skinheads, some with razor blades screwed to the front of their boots. And, they zoned in on me sitting at that hamburger stand. They came rushing across that street. I tried to get away. It's all, it's in the film as well. I didn't make it. And they just unleashed all of their anger and fury and whatever it was on me, on this little 14-year-old kid, until they believed that I was dead. I was unconscious, but they believed I was dead. I watched these guys laugh and spit on me and make jokes, believing they had done that.
Now, for you at that time, how did that change your life? I mean, those two things happening, your mom kicking you out and then these people, strangers who don't know anything about you, doing this to you.
Well, it could have sunk me, I guess, if you want to say that,
Sure.
And of course I lived in fear, because I continued to live on the streets for another 3.5 years. But the way it changed my life, the direction it changed it in, was instead of it doing that, is it did the opposite, is that I decided at that moment that I had to prove these people wrong, that they could not take me, they were not going to put me down, and I was going to succeed, get off these streets, and then that way I could basically turn around and say, I have value, I am a person, and whatever you did not work.
Wow, that's a fantastic. And then last question, because I want to get to you, Jason. How were you able to forgive this person? I mean, and how did that, was it just instant? Did it grow? Well,
it wasn't instant, and it took a few years to get through that process. Tim and I were doing our presentations together before I had forgiven him. But it took me a while to understand some of the things about forgiveness, and one of the most important things was it was not about Tim. Not my forgiveness. It was about me healing completely from these things that had defined my life and letting go a part of my life that was so negative and horrific. Wow. But it had nothing to do with Tim at all. And then Tim, of course, embarks on his own journey of forgiveness, self-forgiveness. So we had done these things separately, but they came together through our presentations.
Wow. It's such an amazing story. Now, you, Jason, where did you enter the picture, and what about this story, maybe it's obvious, made you want to tell it, and especially in the way you did?
Well, when I was introduced to Matthew and Tim's story, it was through a nonprofit called the Fetzer Institute, who I was doing a project with. And at that point, Matthew and Tim had been doing their presentation for about 6 years. And coming in to make this film, I was obviously drawn to the story. It's an incredibly dramatic story, and it sounds almost scripted when you hear it. But we really wanted to explore this process of forgiveness that they had now been going through for about 6 years, because it hadn't really been explored before. And it's something that they had talked about, but I don't think had really addressed everything that was involved in that. So that was our goal in making the film.
Well, it's nominated for an Oscar and Best Short Documentary section. What was it like getting that news?
It was great. It was certainly not something we planned on when we made the film, but we were ecstatic about it, and mostly happy that it's going to help us get this film out to a much wider audience. I mean, that was our goal when we made this film, was to get this film out so people could take from it any of the messages that they might connect with, and now we're going to be able to do that on a bigger scale.
Now, maybe you've answered this question, but what's been the most rewarding part of doing this, and what was the most difficult?
Well, as far as for me, the most rewarding part of making the film, well, I think twofold. One has been the audience reaction we've gotten, and people really connecting to it and wanting to talk about the themes in the film and open a discussion, which was, again, that was sort of our goal. And secondly was seeing Matthew and Tim's sort of growth through the filming and some of the things that they were able to express and confront in their lives as a result of going through the process of making the film.
And who's going with you to the Oscars, and do you have a speech written already?
No, I don't have a speech written. We are so busy right now doing this type of stuff. But Matthew and Tim will be there walking the red carpet with us, as well as some of the other crew.
Wow.
So so we're all excited, and I'm sure when we're there, it's gonna all hit us.
Yes. Well, this is probably one of the most amazing stories I've heard in a long time. So I wish you both the best of luck, and we'll be right back. Who will take home the statue for Best Picture? 12 Years a Slave is nominated, and its director Steve McQueen and lead actor Chiwetel Ejiofor. Both are up for Oscars. Could this be the year they all walk away winners, or not? Next on Arise on Screen.
Well, Arise is the only network that really covers comprehensively the African diaspora. It gives people in other parts of the world of color a chance to know about people here in the United States, us to know about them, and the world to know about us. So it's kind of an educational experience for everybody involved. Getting to know people through stories, through personal stories. You really get a chance to know what people are actually all about, what communities are about. How are we different? But more importantly, what commonalities we all share.
Days ago, I was with my family, in my home. Now you tell me all is lost. Tell no one who I am. That's the way to survive. Well, I don't want to survive. I want to live.
British actor Chiwetel Ejiofor is up for Best Actor in the movie 12 Years a Slave for his portrayal of Solomon Northup, a free man who's kidnapped and resold into slavery. 36-year-old Ejiofor, whose parents are Nigerian, is a veteran of television, theater, and film. Having starred in Steven Spielberg's Amistad alongside Djimon Hounsou, he showed off his funny side in the British comedy Kinky Boots, where he played drag queen Lola. Ejiofor is the first black British actor to be nominated for Best Actor, another milestone. Welcome back to Arise on Screen. With me in the studio are film critics Bobby Rivers and Chiara Spagnoli Gabardi. Now, Chiwetel, I think most people, if nothing else he'll get out of this, people now know how to pronounce his name.
Right.
Okay?
I'm still practicing.
Okay. But, you know, Oscar has an interesting history for Best Actor, especially when it comes to black people. What's your take on it, Bob?
Well, you know, I would love to see him win. I would love to. I think this may be McConaughey's year. And you look at his...
Think?
I think it would be Leonardo DiCaprio because he's also been in the industry for so long and he's
I'd
never
give
won
him
an
the Oscar for the way you say his name.
Oh,
That is the
thank
way it's a bit... Say it again.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, see? You do what every week I want her to say Leonardo DiCaprio. Just say it. So so who do you think his biggest competition is going to be?
I think Chiwetel's biggest competition is Matthew McConaughey for Dallas Buyers Club.
Okay.
Because it's a good year for him. That was a strong performance. So was Mud, Killer Joe, and he's on HBO doing some of the best acting work of his career.
Yes, he's brilliant.
Now, you, Chiara, who do you think is Chiwetel's biggest competition for this?
Well, I just said, but...
Leonardo. Oh, you really think he's going to be?
Yes.
You think he might win?
He got a bunch of nominations in the past, and he still hasn't won an Oscar. And I think he was great in Wolf of Wall Street.
He didn't get nominated for a BAFTA, though.
No. So that kind of gives it away. When they win the BAFTAs, you kind of smell the center of Oscars along the way, so...
I don't know. All right, first of all, I love Chiwetel, and I could tell you I've liked him for a long time because he's had a long career, and he's one of those great British actors who can lose the accent and play an American.
Will he be like Sidney Poitier? Will he get the Oscar?
You know, I don't know that he'll get the Oscar. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty certain he won't get the Oscar, but I've liked him in so many films. Did you ever see Serenity?
I never saw Serenity. I loved him in Kinky Boots, and I wish I could have seen him on stage in Othello opposite Ewan McGregor.
Yes.
Well, I got to tell you, in Serenity, he plays a bad guy.
Really?
He does a great bad guy. He does a pretty, you know, because he's got kind of that boyish face,
right.
He's a very good villain.
Oh, man.
Do you have a favorite Chiwetel role?
I love him in Kinky Boots.
Okay,
that's
it.
You know, and I wonder, because it's such a big hit on Broadway right now here in New York City, if people know that he originated the role of Lola. You know, it's such a feel-good British indie comedy.
Yes.
You know, that's true. I don't think most people actually on this side of the ocean have seen Kinky Boots.
You know,
they may or may not have heard of it.
Before 12 Years a Slave, he was, 12 Years a Slave to Fashion. in kinky boots. There you go.
Well, you know, it's interesting also, you mentioned Sidney Poitier, but you have an interesting fact
Sidney
for us.
Poitier was the first black actor to win a competitive Oscar.
Right.
He was the second black male actor to actually receive the Academy Award.
Talk to me. Who got nominated?
Okay, Sidney won for Lilies of the Field. He was
Yes.
previously nominated for The Defiant Ones, as we see him there with Tony
Right.
Curtis. The first black actor to receive an Oscar, it was an honorary Academy Award, was James Baskett. And he got it for being Uncle Remus in Disney's Song of the South.
Right.
That's right. There does zippity.
That's the one.
My, oh my, I wish they'd free me today. Okay, so.
Well, you know, I have
It's
to say,
the Oscar mood.
we're going to move on.
Okay.
And look at Best Director. British director Steve McQueen is nominated for 12 Years a Slave. Only 2 other black directors have ever been nominated before. Now, what's your take? I mean, I think it would be really, really hard for Steve McQueen to win this, considering Alfonso Cuarón has won everything.
And he did an amazing job. I think Steve McQueen has a very good chance.
You think, and who do you see as his biggest competition?
Cuarón,
yes, but more for the visuals than the actual dialogues. I was more struck by the whole special effects. But 12 Years a Slave, I think, has great chances of winning.
And to me, and I mean this respectfully, because I love Sandra Bullock, Gravity was a bit Speed in space. You know, a woman behind the wheel of an out-of-control vehicle gets help from the guy. That's all I'm going to say about it in case people haven't seen Gravity. And it was so suspenseful. I would still like to see Steve McQueen make history this weekend at the Academy
And you know,
Awards.
also as a visual artist, he just has that extra allure that he puts in all his films. I mean, I loved Hunger, I loved Shame. There's just so many layers and so much depth in the characters.
I agree with you, and I think Steve McQueen is a brilliant. I think he's easily on par with any of the greatest directors of all time. I think he achieved a phenomenal feat with 12 Years a Slave. But I think, as a director, and I think the other directors who are involved, I think they're going to take the 4.5 years that Cuarón has taken, and the fact that he, in many ways, reinvented the wheel for
and taking into
Gravity.
consideration, like, Y tu mamá también.
Exactly. So I cannot see Steve McQueen winning. Not to say that I don't think he deserves the recognition, but I can't see him winning Best Director over Cuarón. Okay. It's just too powerful a film. Any thoughts on Best Picture?
Best Picture, I'm rooting for 12 Years a Slave. I would love to see 12 Years a Slave Best Picture and Steve McQueen Best Director. That would be historical.
That would be fantasy.
Yeah, I think it's always, this tackle between Gravity and 12 Years a Slave.
And your take, what do you think Best Picture?
I'm always, again, hoping for 12 Years a Slave, but perhaps, Gravity might get it.
Well, I got to tell you, I read an article recently. Sasha Stone has an article that she writes for, or a site that she writes for, and what she said was that many of the Academy members that Peggy Siegel was talking to, who's a famous publicist, that they didn't even watch 12 Years a Slave. They thought it was too much.
Which really hit me, considering that the Academy is 94% Caucasian, 77% male. And that really hit me. That's pretty...
They can't vote for a film that they haven't seen.
Right. No. They said they couldn't sit through it. Well, I sat through Schindler's List.
Yeah, but you didn't have any guilt about Schindler's List.
Well,
but it was still an important film.
I agree with you.
If you're going to vote, it's your responsibility to see the film.
I agree, but you think it's irresponsible. Do you think it's irresponsible for black folks not to see this film, as many have not? Many black people feel the same way.
Well, it's just...
I think if I was voting, I see the film.
Okay, and who do you think the Academy's going to vote for?
I think the Academy's going to vote for 12 Years a Slave.
Do you think it's going to be a politically correct option?
You think 12 Years a Slave is going to win Best Picture? And you, Chiara?
Yes.
You think so? Well, I have to tell you, I was feeling that until recently. Now I think it actually could be American Hustle.
Okay,
and critics loved American Hustle.
And I hope I'm wrong. Well, this has been so much fun. I'd like to thank my co-hosts, Chiara Spagnoli Gabardi.
Thank you so much.
And Bobby Rivers.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you for watching.
You'll be here all week?
All week. Try the veal. Tip your waitress.
Well, until next time, I'm Mike Sargent, and we'll be back to talk more movies here on Arise on Screen.